The Road to Strength podcast is now brought to you by Rob Milani, the heavy hitter. We've been really happy to have them jump on as a sponsor. I've personally used them this past year. My wife was in a car accident, and they were able to help us along every step of the way through getting properly compensated, making sure we weren't getting taken advantage of by the car insurance companies, and helping through with medical payments. So if you've been in a car accident, it's definitely worthwhile. Just pick up the phone and see how they can help. Well, all right, let's get started. What's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here of the Road to Strength podcast. We got another special guest on today, Rob Milani of Perform Better. What's going on, Rob?
Not much. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, super excited. I know this podcast has been in the works for a little while now, and you guys have an unreal facility here.
I appreciate it.
For our video listeners, we get the Perform Better logo in the background. We're in kind of the the workout slash
it's our training center. This is where we test most of our product in here. So it was built for that, so our staff can use it whenever they want, and then we bring in a lot of new product here and kind of beat it up and vet it before we put it out to market.
Very cool. Okay, so almost like a testing.
It is a testing lab
room.
For us, exactly.
That's really cool. And I was here just recently. This is my third time being here, actually. Just recently for the NSCA conference, which was fantastic. Was that the first time you guys have had the NSCA conference here?
Yeah, I've known Scott for years, going back to his Merrimack days, and he's been asking us to get in here, and we just had something going on every weekend. He wanted to host it, so it was a great event that weekend.
It worked out perfect, and I know that was one thing on Scott's mind with some of the conferences in the past. He's like, I really want to get some hands-on stuff in here, and we had I'm going to blank on his name, unfortunately, but the Bruins strength coach.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but had us in here working through some of those drills that were some of the stuff I'd seen before. Some of the stuff was like brand new, like kind of like mind blowing. Like, oh, this is a cool drill for this, or like agility, or specific for skaters. Like, hey, make sure your knee angle is above this certain degree because this translates better to on the rink. I'm like, wow, this guy's really thinking above and beyond. Was really cool. And the one time I was here before that was for I did a dry needling conference here. This was coming back to 2017, I think, like that. So it was a little bit of a hiatus.
It's probably Ian Manning was running that there too. So we used to run them quarterly in there too.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
Have them packed out, and it was it's either Sue Falsone or Ian Manning would come in.
Yes,
do all those.
Very cool. The guy who I'm gonna blank on his name as well, but I Dry Needle is the name of his company. Paul something. But yeah, it was a great course and conference here. And actually, my buddy had told me that I think during COVID he picked up some weight plates from you guys here, just direct. Do you guys get much of that? Because I know you do a lot of you're going out nationally and internationally, but
that's probably the one thing that's why. Coming on here with you too, it's kind of great to just let people know that we're in Rhode Island.
Yeah,
we spend so much time pushing to different seminars, and we're at about 200 different seminars a year, and we kind of forget to just sit back and make sure we show some love to the local people around here too. So let them know that we're here. Our warehouse is right here. They can pick stuff up. We deliver and install stuff. So
very cool. And for many reasons, I know, to shout out another company, Rogue, a lot of people might order for them, but they have their facility in Ohio, and you can skip a lot of the shipping costs if you just go right direct to consumer. So same thing for you guys in New England. If you're looking to save a little bit on shipping, just come right.
They can pick it up here. Our guys are usually driving around New England every year. We'll drop most stuff off if it's something that's a rack or something like that.
There you go.
We'll drop it off at your facility for you.
Yeah,
so that's always an option for everyone.
That's cool. When I first did the dry needling course here back in, I think it was 2016, 2017. I had already heard of Perform Better a ton, just from I went to URI. I saw you did as well.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So they have their stuff at URI.
Sure.
Different gyms I've been to, but also different high schools and everything. It's a brand that's just well associated with hey, this is the collegiate high school brand for gyms that are really well stocked. Yeah.
Most of us were all former athletes, so we get into this. I started in 2000. That was the area we really migrated towards, was high schools, colleges, and now pro teams too.
Yeah.
Going on to there, and then obviously we have our big box accounts too. But
Totally.
the stuff we truly enjoy, the local places, the smaller gyms, 3,000 to 5,000 square foot boutique or owner operated gyms too, is really where we thrive in.
Yeah, and when I did that course, I'm like, wait, Perform Better HQ? It's in Rhode Island. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm that our home state has one of the biggest, not only from an equipment standpoint, but like you said, facility outfitting, and also your conferences. The conferences are I think in many ways bar none compared to a lot of the other fitness conferences that are out there.
Yeah, it's funny. They started those in 2003 was our first summit. 98 was our first one day. And we were importing product. And this is before YouTube and before the internet actually hit that. People really had no idea. We imported a container of rubber medicine balls from Italy. And literally no one had any idea how to use them. They didn't realize the plyometric effect out of there.
Huh.
So they
What year was this?
This is in 98.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
It was 97 we imported it. 98 we started our first seminar. And that was at Reggie Lewis with Mike Boyle and a few other speakers
No
over
way.
there. And we taught people how to use the product. So it was the first kind of grassroots teaching program that once they knew how to use it, we were selling them off the shelf. We couldn't bring enough with us to these seminars.
Right,
so then it progressed to bands and then balls and stability balls and agility ladders. And we were teaching people how to use product, and that was our way to sell the product. Was to educate them on it.
Yeah. So even still, like there's a conference coming up in Providence that I'm excited to go to coming up in August. You guys have another one coming up, I think.
Huge one, yeah.
Yeah. So still, you guys are crushing it with the
we've migrated towards. We got away from the direct education to product. So that was that was the original need for them. Now we try and keep it very product not driven in there too. So, you'll have your FMS guys in there and your Boyle. So we'll have different tracks on how to make money if you're a business owner.
Yep.
We'll have some physical therapy tracks in there. We'll have some trainer tracks in there. It kind of crosses the gamut on everything.
And another piece on that, I was talking to a business coach. So I do PT out of network or concierge or cash-based PT out of Providence and Portsmouth, and talking to another guy who does the same thing out in Massachusetts, and he was saying how, like, hey, listen, like for PTs in particular, but for all strength coaches, for all trainers, like a big piece of networking is like go to your local conference. Yeah. That's where all the people that you want to talk to, they're going to be there. Yep. And I found that to be very true, especially with going to the CSCS or NSCA conferences. I'm like, this is where I'm meeting all the people who I want to meet. Like this is the place to be.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot too. Is the conversations in the hallways. So obviously we have a great speaker network up there and a great lineup. But it's what you're networking in the hallways, the social. We run a great social at night that we bring in a band, and we want people to talk to not only the speakers in there, but the guy down the street or the guy that's an hour away.
Right.
And network with them and see you guys can help each other out or just learn from each other too. So
absolutely.
We've had, I think, 4 people that have met at our summits now have gotten married from meeting at the summits. So it's been pretty cool.
Oh, that's...
but yeah, the networking, we see groups of people now, 10 or 20 people that get together per group that have just been doing it for 10 or 15 years in a row, and they kind of make it not only a learning weekend, but kind of recharge the batteries and a little bit of vacation out of it too.
I was talking to my my buddy about this year's NSCA conference that was here, and I'm like, oh, you going to the conference? He's like, I don't know, like for whatever reason, he's like, for his specialties, like none of the topics are really like in the lane that I want to go towards. I'm like, dude, I don't even care. I'm not even looking at the topics. I'm just going.
Yeah.
I'm like,
there was topics that I didn't know if I was going to enjoy or not. Actually, I ended up by enjoying every lecture.
Exactly.
Yeah, getting to meet people. That's really what our company's about, is building relationships.
Yeah.
So obviously we need to have good quality product, but getting to know the people out there and knowing how to help them, and the more we know about their business and them, we can put the right product in their hands.
Absolutely.
So it's a win for us too.
And your products are great. I mean, one that's popping up at the top of my mind is the bands, like just in general. If you're looking for like little hip loop bands, like if you buy the cheap ones on Amazon, like they're gonna last like a fifth of the length of the Perform Better bands are.
I've spent a lot of time overseas developing those bands.
Those bands are great.
It's those little $2 things that you think are going to be the easiest things to develop, and
they're fantastic.
Yeah, it took about 5 years to nail those things down.
And everything else, obviously, the barbells, the weight plates are fantastic, the platforms. But the first thing that pops in my mind, you guys have the best bands, like by far. It's
that's our bread and butter. Still our core business.
Sure.
Is putting a lot of that stuff out.
One other quick note on the seminars is you guys run a lot of seminars here as well at HQ, and I should have mentioned we're in West Warwick, Cranston line, right in the line.
It's East Greenich, West Warwick line.
East Greenwich, West Warwick line. Okay, cool. There's a conference. I think it maybe happened recently or it's coming up soon. It's the speaker
Thomas Plummer Speaker School.
Yeah,
we usually run about 3 of them a year, and Thomas Plummer was our original business guy that came in, and we used to go around with the NFBA, the National Fitness Business Alliance, and we do a different location every month with him. And he's semi-retired, and he still wants to kind of stay in the game, and he still has contacts with people. But he started a speaker school probably about 6 years ago, and out of any seminar I've been to, probably about 30 a year that I get to sit in on, on average, I would say. This is hands down the best seminar I've ever been to, and it's not only for people that want to speak to a crowd, but even if you're a business owner,
Sure.
how to speak to your audience that's there as not only the trainers, but clients in there too. So
Sure.
there's a broad carryover, but you'll see people walk in on day 1 to day 3, and the progression from day 1 to day 2 to day 3 it's phenomenal.
I love that. When I first saw, I think it was an email that I saw of like, hey, we're doing this like really cool speakers conference. Like, are you looking to improve your one, obviously public speaking, but also just your ability to communicate with your peers and your clients, like, which is obviously in the training world, PT world, like, it's a huge piece of it.
Massive.
It doesn't matter how much information you know, is like how well can you communicate to your client or peer to show like, hey, this is valuable. Yeah. Otherwise, they won't take you seriously. They won't do what you're saying.
What are they hearing versus what you're saying on there is the big part of it.
So I'm like,
actually, have you sat through a speaker school yet?
No, it's one on the bucket list.
Here's your invitation right now to we'll comp you into the next one. So
right. I'm super. I was like, oh, I want, and then whatever, I forgot about it or something happened. I'm like, but that was one that's been on top of my mind. I'm like, oh, that is really cool.
We'll definitely lock you in for that one. Right. So count it in.
All right, and that's something too. That's like, I mean, I think it's cool you guys are doing that. It's so important, and also it's like nobody else is really doing stuff like that. It's like every conference is always like, you know, what's the best squat technique, or like what's the best periodization, what's the good breath program. But that technique, I think there's a lot of room for growth in like that area, which is cool.
A lot of what we do is trying to make business owners make more money.
Sure.
So we know if they make more money, they're going to be successful. They'll have money to spend and going through the current trend. So you'll see Mark Fisher come in with his business for unicorns, or Vince Gill come in with his seminars too. So
I saw that Pete Dupuis is part of that one too. I've seen him in person once. He's fantastic as well. Yeah, over at I think Cressy's facility in Mass. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's probably, as far as a speaker, I mean, our entire lineup is fantastic, but he's got a background in theater, so he carries that right over. So he was on Broadway, his wife's on Broadway, so he's got that presence on stage that just knows how to like set his tone and get his message across. So
that's
unbelievable
cool.
speaker.
That's an interesting background. There's one other PT I went to school with who, like, in the PT world, you can get your undergrad in anything as long as you have met all the requirements to apply to grad school. Yep. So this guy was a theater major. And then he had to take a bunch of biology, chemistry, math courses, and then he went on to PT school. But his background was theater. I'm like, and that ended up like you'd think like, oh, that doesn't, but it ended up being super helpful for him.
It's unbelievable. They're a way to just own an audience.
Sure.
He's probably one of my favorite speakers to sit there and listen to, just because of the way he controls the audience on there and his own kind of niche to it. So he's very, very good.
That's cool. Well,
plus he knows his stuff also too. So that comes with it. It's not just talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's something behind it.
Exactly.
That's cool. I'm excited for that because I'm gonna lock in a date on that. I'll find it on the calendar. I'll let you know
for sure.
All right. So our big topic for today, and we'll get to the rapid fire questions in a second. But our big topic today was like to come in and talk equipment, talk design, history, manufacturing, everything that goes into building a great product here at Perform Better. And I know you're the guy to talk to on that stuff.
I try.
So just to start off, I like to do rapid fire questions, and these are mostly fun, but also just kind of shouting out a lot of places in Rhode Island. So first one, I know you came in with the Dunkin' coffee, where a little bit of a party foul earlier, but we won't blame Kevin for that.
No.
So we got favorite coffee shop in Rhode Island.
Probably be Drip over in East Greenich.
Nice. Yeah. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard it's good.
It's good.
Nice.
They do a nice job.
What's your go-to?
Honestly, just a cold brew.
Nice. All right.
Cold brew.
Next one, we got favorite restaurant.
Favorite daily restaurant would be Sienna, like a nice restaurant, but Camille's if we're doing date night with the wife.
Very cool. Sienna, that's in North Kingston.
It's in East Greenich and Smithfield, North Smithfield.
And North Smithfield. And Camille's is?
Providence.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Is that on Fed Hill?
It is.
Gotcha.
It's on a side street on Federal Hill.
I was going to say, that's one of the ones I haven't been to on Fed Hill.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Cool. I'm from Massachusetts originally. Lived in Newport for a while. Now I've been in North Providence for the past 5 years. But
so what's your go-to?
My go-to, I really, unfortunately, like the old canteen, and they just went out. However, I do like the business that's replacing them is Wally's Wieners, and I'll be the first person to say They're out of Newport and they run a great business.
Wow.
It's just like hot dogs and
talk about a
espresso
change
martinis.
going from the old plastic couches in there to Wiener Place.
Wiener Place. Yeah. But the guys that run Wally's Wieners are fantastic. So I'm not too upset. I know a lot of people are very upset to go from like a traditional classic Italian to a hot dog joint. Up there. Yeah. And favorite coffee for me, I got to stick to my roots in somewhat roots down in Newport. Custom House Coffee has been my go-to. But all right, so favorite recent book. So this could be like, for fun or more of like maybe like if we're in the performance world, like maybe like a textbook or something.
No, I just read a book on the history of the Vanderbilts. It was very, very interesting. Yeah.
All right, that's got some probably some Rhode Island roots to it too.
Yeah, I love going down to the mansions.
That's awesome.
So actually, we got married at Rosecliff.
Nice. All right.
So I definitely enjoy that time period of just learning more about those guys. So the
That's
industrialization and what went on and what the family roots were. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And their other mansions are they're south. It's South Carolina or something like that.
It's in I want to say Baltimore. It's,
okay.
You have the Breakers, and then Biltmore is the name of the other place.
Sure. Okay. Very cool. Next one we got favorite recent podcast. So I just listened to you on the on today and yesterday on the Unscripted podcast.
I got to go with that one. It was the last one.
Love it. All right. And you said that's a longtime friend of yours?
Longtime friend, Corey Smallwood and Trey. I've known him for years. So they started that up as kind of just a fun podcast, and trying to get off the X's and O's of training and get to more know people on there. So it's an interesting one.
This might be just my hearing is off, but he sounded like he had a bit of a southern accent. Is that true?
Trey for sure.
Okay,
oh my God, yeah.
All right.
He's from Danville, Virginia, but he's definitely got that slow draw to him for sure.
Sure. I'm like, this guy doesn't sound like he's from like the New England area.
Yeah,
but I could have just been
definitely
hearing
not.
it wrong. Okay, cool. Next one we got favorite Instagram accounts. Now, the way I describe this question is either something that kind of like is entertaining to you, makes you laugh, or on the flip side, if you keep it more sports focused or it could be sport or fitness focused, like someone who like, hey, like this guy's doing some cool stuff like in the field on Instagram.
Honestly, we're around fitness so much right now. You're probably going to catch me on like a lawn care addicts or like how to build a shed. Like,
you're not.
It's usually going to be something how to build something.
Nice. Maybe we can work together. My wife's been on me about trying to build a pergola in the backyard, which I'm like, this is way beyond my expertise, but I'll try my best.
That's definitely up my alley. We have a nice shed. Might be my fifth one I'm building.
Nice.
Starting this weekend.
All right, good. Next question is somewhere you've traveled recently.
That's an easy one. We just came back from Cologne, Germany. 5 days there and 5 days in Paris.
Very nice. That sounds like less of a business trip and more of a.
Cologne was actually it's a work trip, so we go over yearly. It's a conference called FIBO, and it's the largest fitness trade show in the world. So we have URSA, which is now HFA in the U.S. It's about 10 times the size of that. It's an interesting one just as an industry guy to go over and not only network but see what's new in the market and actually take some time and look at different product.
That's really cool. Any new stuff that's coming out, you're like, wow, this is interesting.
I thought we were going to see a lot more tech over there. Everything's leaning towards tech, and unfortunately, there's a lot of companies going towards tech that are trying to get this monthly subscription tech.
Yeah,
we were looking more towards power plates, force plates.
Yep,
getting some more metrics off of that stuff.
Yeah,
we found a couple that we'll be working with to see. But,
yeah, the subscriptions are everywhere. It's interesting.
It's everywhere these days. I don't know if we're going to be able to avoid it or not. But these companies want those residuals each month, and I don't know if it's quite worth it yet on some of this stuff. So we're slow playing anything like that ourselves for sure.
How about like? I know AI is the big topic of conversation. Anything like that?
Not much in the AI world over there. It was just more racks. A lot of the same stuff. Like a lot, but little tweaks to them here and there that we found a couple different companies that had some interesting tweaks to it that were pretty cool.
Okay, hey, that's really cool. Another question I like to ask: favorite footwear right now, whether it's in the gym or
I mean, right now it's definitely going to be going towards flip-flop season, right?
Yeah, love it. Yeah. Are you a Birkenstock guy or is it a
No. I'm definitely a traditional flip-flop on the Reefs.
Nice,
and
then,
nice. Training shoe would be the which I've never thought I'd fit a Nike, but the Metcons have been
nice. All right,
hands down my
I think I have that same one. Is that like the one that came out like maybe 2022 or something like that?
These are a year old right now.
Okay.
So I think I bought 6 pairs when I bought them. It's when I find a shoe that fits me at
there you go.
At 6'4", 320. I beat down shoes pretty quick. So if it fits right, I usually buy multiple pairs right away.
There you go.
Discontinue them.
Love it. Favorite lift in the gym for you right now?
Right now, probably just a kettlebell in general.
Cool.
Our workouts have been pretty weak ever since we had the newborn, so we're getting back into it consistently. My favorite lift of all time is definitely a back squat.
Nice. What's your max? What's your top back squat?
Ever?
Yeah.
I was over 7 for consistently.
Awesome. Was that so I'll get into your background a little bit. Was that when you were at URI?
Yeah.
Or yeah, very cool. Next question, we got favorite pro sports team.
Would definitely be the Patriots.
Nice.
Football
all right.
guy and local, so I'm a homer on that one.
Nice.
We'll see what happens tonight in the draft.
Oh my God, is that tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be exciting.
I'm usually not a big draft guy as far as watching it, but with the number 4 pick, we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
could be huge. And how about college? Favorite college team?
Got to go URI as a homer.
URI, yes, very good.
I mean, if we went nationally, in Ohio State as a kid growing up, or Notre Dame was always 2 teams I followed quite a bit.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I unfortunately, I'm sorry, Coach Leach. I haven't been to a URI football game yet. I meant to go last year. I meant to go the year before. This year will be the year I ended up going. But they've been a great team recently.
I'll tell you, they made the playoffs for the first time since '85 last year, and especially if you're a family person has kids.
Yeah.
As far as the the affordability to go down there, they put on a great show. So
yeah,
team's been good. It's we have 3 kids that we bring down to every home game. And it's a very inexpensive day to have a great experience down there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. Definitely excited. I've been to their basketball game, but yeah, the football that'll be on the bucket list for this year. All right, so we kind of teased it a little bit already, but just wanted to get into some questions about your background, your fitness. So basically, kind of how did you start in this journey towards fitness? Kind of what sports did you do? I know you were at URI, but where did it all begin?
It's high school. I went to a private school up in Massachusetts called Severian Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable strength coach who's still up there, Al Finaro. Big Louis Simmons guy, big progression guy off of that. So, we talk all of our functional training over here. We probably don't think of Louis as the Perform Better world.
Sure.
But definitely had some great merit, and he still follows. I put my son in this program actually last year. So
wow.
To come in the strength and conditioning world, I was training with guys like, the Camellas, the Hasselbacks, guys who were going in the first round in the NFL picks. So we had a great group of about 20 of us as core athletes in there that I had never really trained before. And all of a sudden you get into this culture that's just like more. So we had our breakfast club at 5 in the morning and work out 5 days a week. And
that's cool.
It was a really good spot to start lifting. And I got very, very strong there.
So I also went to school in Mass, St. John's, Shrewsbury.
Yep.
Where's Severian Brothers?
Westwood, Mass.
Westwood.
Brothers.
Okay,
we
cool.
played St. John Shrewsbury once.
Oh, really?
Year. Didn't work out well for them. I know their athletics have come a long way over there though too.
They have.
I know they're definitely a competing team now. But
yes.
Back then it
wasn't great.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older.
Yeah,
so.
fair enough. And then we mentioned already football was the big sport.
Football for sure.
Yeah, cool.
For sure.
And then from there, we went to URI.
Went to URI. Had my few couple weekend tryouts and didn't make it any further than URI. So my roommate, who was a year older than me, had met Chris the year before and started here in 2000 or 99. And I had no idea what I wanted to do out of college. So came on board here. I actually sold track for the first year.
Wow.
Until I slid over to Perform Better.
Very cool.
And just did general sales for 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Then really started getting interested in product and doing more facilities. So I started sourcing a lot of our product and then doing our facility outfits and designs and things like that.
Very cool. Okay. And then and kind of along the same vein, I saw just from doing a little bit of research, you're coaching at North Kingston.
Yeah, so he goes. My son's 13 now. It looks like my actual mini me out there. So yeah, I coach the Jags football in North Kingstown.
That's fun.
Probably the favorite thing I do right now.
That's awesome.
It's fun to do for him. It's great to see him, grow in the sport too and love it himself.
That's cool.
So then we just get to watch his wrestling and lacrosse. So the football's a ton of fun, an absolute ton of fun.
They now I might be getting the teams wrong, but they did pretty well last year, right?
Yeah, he just lost his first game in the Rhode Island Super Bowl of his life. So it's a little bit of a heartbreaker. I think I took it harder than he did, to be honest with you. So,
sure.
Yeah, it was my first coaching loss ever and his first loss, too. So it was a tough one.
That's really cool. Well, it sounds like you guys had a great squad.
Yeah, we have a great coaching staff. It's about 4 or 5 former college players out there on the team.
Oh, wow.
Great bunch of great athletes out there. So
really,
really good kids.
Awesome. So getting into kind of the background of Perform Better, and I know there might be holes to the story, but just to your best of your knowledge, as far as the background, how did Perform Better? How did it start? How did it become what it is today, and have the headquarters here in Rhode Island?
Sure. So it was actually started by Bill Falk as a track. Actually, let me back up a little bit further.
Yeah, go for it.
It was started by Bill Falk, who was a track coach at URI. and had several businesses that unfortunately had failed. He had an ice cream shop, a weight loss clinic.
Oh, wow.
And they say usually it's, 5 to 7 businesses before you hit that one. He had partnered with a PT because he had one of his high jumpers was planting the heel in there, and we get plantar fasciitis in her heel. Huh. So they molded a heel cup and put it on her. Worked great. Put it on a bunch of other athletes. Worked great. So it was McKinnon and Falk. MF is the name of our parent company. Still same owner on there.
Gotcha.
They did a little black and white mailer in the 60s and put it out, and every PT in the country started ordering the MF heel cup. Huh. So that's still in existence today. Probably at every PT you'll see across the country will have the MF heel cup on the shelf over there. Huh. Bill Falk, the original owner, who has passed away, was a track and field coach, like I said. Would start bringing around implements in the back of his car. You know, he was coaching, and if someone didn't make weight on a shot put, he'd say, "Hey, I got one right here."
Sure.
It was more just to help out. It wasn't meant to be a business.
Sure, yeah.
But that slowly turned into a business, and they were doing it out of the back of their house. So they were, 9 to 5 jobs, and then selling track equipment out of the house, which developed into a smaller warehouse, and a bigger warehouse, and a bigger warehouse. And about 27 years ago, they were starting to get stagnant and looking for growth because there's only so many track programs in the country.
Sure.
So we started looking at that, and Bill was like, you know what? We look at the way training's going. It was all Nautilus. It was all hypertrophy. And he's like, there's no plyometrics. There's no jumping, bounding, leaping. He's like, track and field is really killing it in this world right now.
Right.
And we're seeing so many gains in there that there's got to be a blend between these two. So we hired our first consultant, which was Vern Gambetta, kind of one of the original guys when you talk functional training. And put it together a catalog. Vern's background was heavily into soccer, so we kind of failed on that a little bit. It was a training/soccer catalog, and it was a complete dog for us. So MF carried us for the first 2 years, and ever since then, we switched really into training, and we kind of stay in our lane with training. So when everyone's like, "Oh, do you do this, this, and this?" What we do is weight rooms really, really well. So we focus in on the weight room, and we developed a catalog from there. So that was the need was for us to grow, but then also to look at other style of training. So I will say that. From a functional, I would say Perform Better has definitely had a massive influence in the market of getting to the functional. Now, 10 years into it, it probably went a little too crazy with people standing on stability balls and balance stuff, and it just got a little nuts out there.
Sure.
But you could see the need for the change in training styles in there, too. So I think it's coming back a little bit now. It's a hybrid of, hey, we still need the hypertrophy. We still don't run isolated machines, but we still want to do dynamic warm-up and explosiveness and all that stuff in there, too. So I think we're in a very good spot for training right now.
The pendulum was over here at first, then it swung way back, then it's kind of like evened out at this point.
It seems like it's kind of in the middle right now.
Yeah.
So you start looking at training, what's out there. I mean, if you're a young athlete, college athlete, or just a general person right now, the ability, with the knowledge that people have right now, and the trainers, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. The level of expertise it's never been this high.
Yeah, for sure, sure.
Oh, that's really cool. Interesting. So that the MF, I'd seen that a couple times. And I was like, oh, is that the same company? Is that something different? So that's the overbranching like parent.
Yeah, so we really haven't done a great job in blending those two together. So MF is everything track and field.
Cool. Okay.
And they're the largest distributor of track and field in the world.
Wow.
Okay. So you'll see a lot of local kids coming in for shot puts, hammers, discuses, all sorts of stuff. They'll ride them right to the warehouse. They'll make them up for them on site. No way. They'll put them to length for them. So
really cool.
You'll see that right out there.
That's awesome because I think I looked up on the website real quick too, and it's like this is the place you go if you're like a thrower or track. Yeah, so that's awesome.
And they do a ton of education too. They have pole vault camps. They have all sorts of stuff around here too.
And that's an interesting. There was a guy I was working with not too long ago who was a master's level javelin thrower in Rhode Island, and he was telling me about the sport a little bit, and he's like, Rhode Island's one of the only states that this even happens.
It's one of 3 on the javelin. That it might be more than 3, but they use a rubber tipped everywhere else because someone's in the field. There've actually been deaths of the javelin hitting them on there.
Sure, yeah.
The hammer is the one. I think it's only 2
the hammer.
states.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's Oregon and Rhode Island.
Sure.
2. So you'll see most of your best college hammer throwers are coming out of those 2 states because they're the ones that have practiced them before.
Yeah. There was a podcast I did maybe a year and a half ago. Brandon Amo, he was the coach over at URI for the throwers. Yep. Now he went to Harvard. Now he's coaching at Virginia. But yeah, he was a URI guy who as a thrower, and he's like been able to bounce around with all these other coaches. I think probably because of that.
Yeah, they're a very tight network. The track and field world, it's such a small community that they're super tight. So being part of that through the MF side of it too, it's interesting to see the relationship that they've built on there too. Kind of everyone knows everyone in that world.
Totally. Oh, that's awesome. And you kind of like tease into this a little bit too, like Perform Better started basically with a guy who was a track and field coach at URI. And as far as the decision to make HQ in Rhode Island, was that kind of a no-brainer? Like, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're here.
Yeah, it just progressed over time. So it literally went from a shipping container at their house to a small rented building. So just keep bopping around Rhode Island as we got bigger and bigger and bigger. We were in Cranston for, I want to say 20 years or so, maybe 20 plus years.
Okay.
Until we just completely outgrew that spot. So we're down here now, and I don't want to say hopefully we're here forever and we don't outgrow it. Hopefully we do outgrow it. But,
it's a pretty big facility.
Yeah, but it's definitely a family-run business that Bill's son, Eric, is now taking over the business. And, God, you couldn't ask for a better guy to work for. So
that's awesome.
There is a true family atmosphere around here, so I don't ever see him moving the HQ. It's where he loves to be, and obviously all of our staff are here now too.
Very cool. Awesome. And kind of along the same vein as that, as far as the location goes, what are some like benefits or some relationships that you guys have been like, hey, it's cool that we're here, or it's here either Rhode Island or New England? Like, what some benefits of being in this part of the country?
For us, I mean, obviously living here, we love New England. But from a business standpoint, I mean, population density you got to look at.
Yeah.
We have access to Boston in an hour. We
totally.
We live in Rhode Island, and New York's 2 hours away. So when we look at our density, those are the areas we sell most in because we've done so much education here. So we've grown the industry over here too.
Yeah.
And then next you jump over to California. So we're around everywhere. It's people don't even realize that we're in Rhode Island because we travel so much. So I mean, at one point I was traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month, and people had no idea. They're like, oh, they thought we lived in California. They thought we lived in Texas.
Right.
So just because we're here doesn't mean we're only here. But yeah, the benefit is we have so much at our hands right here too. It's so cool, and we use a lot of local gyms too to vet our products out too.
Very cool. Very cool. And then as far as, I know you mentioned you do a lot of the sourcing for the equipment. So what goes into that? Are you kind of like testing out different materials and stuff like that? Or
yeah, it depends upon the product and what we're doing with it. So, some of the easiest things I thought we'd be able to make are, something like a soft toss medicine ball. You would think, hey, throw some stitching together, fill it with what we decide to come up with, whether it be crumb rubber or batting. Yeah. And then you throw it against the ground, it breaks. And then it took me 5 years to develop a soft toss medicine ball. It was the toughest thing I ever did from a sourcing standpoint, just to make, we warranty everything. Sure. And it's a no questions asked warranty and everything. So if it's not going to last at least 2 to 3 years, we got to build it better. Sure. So it took me 5 years to finally get something down. So that was my war story on that one, where like a steel product, it comes down to usage. So I can test steel, I can run it through a computer system, I can run it through my CAD, and then do physical property testing on there. Very easy to build something that's not going to break. Sure. But what are the mechanics of the rack now too? What are the intricacies of that? So that's where the fun part of that is. I'd rather be doing that than the cloth products, because they're just a pain in the butt. Well,
if you're looking for products and you come across like different brands and you see Perform Better, at least for me, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good product. Yeah, this product's not going to fall apart on me.
We're definitely a B2B business. So we're business to business, and we have a lot of consumers that buy from us too.
Sure, yeah.
But you're buying a professional grade piece. We're never going to carry something that, 6 months later it's breaking your home. And if it did, obviously it's something we did wrong on there and we're replacing it. But
sure.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be the Amazon cheapest on there, but we are going to say we are a heck of a lot better. So
totally. As far as you mentioned, like getting into like cat, so are you doing that on your own too with the cat?
Not myself. Yeah, I have a guy that does all
I was going to say,
me,
wow, like those are like that's. I have some engineering friends who are like deep into that. I'm like, that's a whole other world too.
Yeah, we have a guy, Josh, who does all of our CAD renderings. So every time you call up Perform Better for any sort of facility, we'll drop it into 3D CAD and model the whole thing for you. So wow. We actually picked him up. He was our financial guy's son-in-law. Okay, yeah. And literally he came in for a job interview one day. He had just graduated from New England Tech, had a little bit of a computer background. Yeah. And has taught himself everything. So if you've ever gotten a design from Perform Better, that's hands out to Josh. Like one of our most invaluable employees in here, hands down. And he knew nothing about weight rooms, and now he's worked on probably 15 NFL weight rooms, 10 NHL weight rooms. And he's actually bringing ideas to me like, hey, we could fit this over here, make the flow a little bit better. So yeah, he's worth his weight in gold over here.
That's a huge piece. Just from being in a lot of different gyms is like, hey, this is our square footage. This is the equipment we want. How can we make it work? How can we make it flow? So planning that is got to be a huge part of it.
100%. So that's our job to figure that out. And honestly, we have to figure out what your business is too. So, if I'm doing an NFL weight room, I know that they're going to have 58 kids or 58 guys that have to be in there. Yeah. And then during camp, they're going to have 98 guys. So we have to be able to accommodate 98 guys and then 58 on a consistent basis. where a college is now 105 scholarships just for football. So do we
Sure.
have football in there? Do we have 3 other sports at the same time? How many weight rooms? Or even if you're, you know, a typical gym like ours is set up here.
Yeah.
We have the, I like to use the Boyle method where it's 15 minutes and you move on to your next station, then someone else starts 15 minutes behind you.
Right.
Everyone jumps 15 minutes. Or are you going to be more of a hit class, and do we need, you know,
10 bikes or whatever?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
doing 10 bikes at a time, 10 wall balls at a time. So that's
Right.
our job, is to kind of
Yeah, what do you need?
ask those questions, find out what your training styles are, and then provide you with the layout that's going to be successful for you.
That's cool. That's cool. And then as far as the physical property testing, so you guys like trying to break stuff at that way?
We literally, so every piece in our rack, it's the most you can fit in a bar is 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are the fun days. We literally take a forklift out back, we raise up for a 6-foot drop, and we drop 1,200 pounds on it.
No way.
So yeah, we'll computer engineer it first to make sure it's gonna work.
Sure.
The computer was wrong once though. We
wow.
It didn't break, but it bent. So
Sure,
we don't want it to bend.
Yeah, yeah.
So we physically drop test everything, cycle test everything. So it is the fun day where everyone clears out and you just drop it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you could probably get a bunch of guys to go out and watch that.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
100%.
All right, let's go try to break a bar.
Everyone, I don't want to say they want it to fail because it's our
No,
company, but everyone
right,
wants to
right.
see like just
Yeah.
pandemonium out there for sure.
That's fun.
I mean, same thing with bars. We're loading them up to, you know, we have our safety values on there. So most
Yeah.
products we're putting 4-to-1 safety values on there. So if it can hold 1,200 pounds, we're going to load to 4,800 pounds.
Sure.
Just to make sure we have no problems with it, or 7-to-1 on certain products too.
Yeah.
Depending on what they are. So we're picking stuff up with forklifts and just seeing it bend and then make sure it comes back to normal on there too.
That's wild. So yeah, 4,800 pounds. That'd be a lot to put on a. That'd be a rack.
So we're doing that on like bars. We'll overload them.
Really?
So like our safety, so even on like our trap bars right now.
Yeah.
The most you can fit is 500 pounds on there, but we have a 7-to-1 safety value on there. So you'll see the bar physically flex on there.
A trap bar.
Yeah, we're loading it and then we're hanging stuff on top of it too.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're taking chains and hanging weights on top of it and watching the bar bend, but making sure it comes back to life on there. So it's kind of that bar whip. We want them to bend. We just want them to come back to neutral again every time.
Is a piece of that the type of steel?
100%.
Just using, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff of like American made steel versus like European made steel. Is there some piece to that, or is it more just like where you source it?
It's where you source it. So most of your steel, there's 2 sources in the U.S. that are very good.
Okay.
And there's some European sources that are very good too.
Gotcha.
So you just want certain properties in there too, and then it comes down to, you know, everyone talks, they want their whip in the bar. There's a lot of people that do know, and there's a lot of people that don't know in there too. So that's an interesting whole nother podcast.
Sure.
You go over whip on bars.
Sure,
and
yeah.
then the rotation of them, and do we want double needle bearing?
Right.
And how much do you want to spend in there too?
Right. Depending on like, do I want this bar for Olympic lifting, or do I want it for powerlifting or
yeah, if I'm doing a
strongman,
powerlifting, I just want a big, thick, heavy-knurled bar in there. I don't want it
Yeah,
to bend. I don't
right.
want it flexing everywhere.
The less bend, the better.
Yeah. where I would say I'm a great Olympic lifter, I am not. We didn't do much in college. I did my IWF certification here with Mike Catone, and
Cool.
every time I go to Olympic lift, I'm like, I feel great. I just started loading up more, and the next day I'm like, oh, I tweaked something. So, yeah, I got to work on my Olympic lifts for sure.
There you go. Good. And then how about with the bumper plates? 'Cause I know there's a lot of different materials, and you have like the competition style bumper plates versus just kind of like they have like some of like the cheaper models, or some bounce more than others. And
Yeah, bumpers. So when we started making bumpers, they were all rubber bumpers, and
Sure.
our biggest issues were the hubs. And this is when not many people were making bumpers out there too. So we were retesting hubs on there. The biggest issue we had was the 10-pound plates. They're so thin and they were rubber.
Yeah.
They would just taco over. And you might actually be too young to see so many of those companies.
Sure,
But they would literally fall right over with the 10-pound on there.
Yeah.
So we started having to put plastic additives in there too. So we put
Gotcha.
plastic to stiffen them in there.
Sure,
And then adjust the composition of rubber on them. So that was our first into bumpers, is just an inexpensive rubber bumper. We changed the hubs on there 4 or 5 times going into it, and then that was a recycled rubber. We started going to a virgin rubber on our nicer products. It was so much easier. The consistency and the control on there is so much easier. And we had learned about the hubs and how we wanted to position the hubs inside. They were just press fitting before, and now we actually have a pretty unique design to us of how it fits inside there, where it locks into place.
Gotcha,
so you'll never see a hub pop out. So we went from our basic first place line, which is a takeoff of track and field. So first place, track and field on there.
Yeah.
And that's our basic house line. And then we went to elite and extreme, which are, our first places are still commercial grade 100%.
Yep.
Where extreme is, hey, I'm putting this in an NFL team, and you're not going to see something better on the market.
Right.
The elite's the line we just launched and working on those bumpers. We went from the rubber to then custom blend rubber, so we can Pantone match anyone's bumpers color-wise, which is pretty cool. So when we're doing an NFL team or a club or a gym, we can specifically Pantone match their rubber or their urethane.
I think I saw. Oh, the Green Bay Packers one.
You'll see the Packers over there. We Pantone matched them. We Pantone matched. So we're doing the Patriots right now. I did the Dolphins.
Oh, cool.
The Niners, the Red Sox. So on the bumpers, we usually pick 2 or 3 different colors and exactly match there. We do it for a lot of clubs too.
Sure.
Like Results Fitness has orange, gray, their colors in there, and then we'll. So we went from rubber, then we get into urethane. And urethane was new to the market. We didn't know how much we were going to like it. It's a much harder surface. So when you're dropping, it thuds a lot more, but it definitely lasts longer, and it looks brand new 10 years later. So
and those 2 plates on the top of that press machine there?
Those are our grip versions of it, but if you look at a urethane bumper, if you look to your left over there, those green ones at the bottom, it's a cleaner piece to it.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
So we went to urethane, which is a stiffer piece than rubber, but lasts longer. They look fantastic. And then we started laser engraving logos into them. So literally we run a laser over it about 40 times to get the depth, and we hand fill epoxy on all of the logos on there. So they come out looking like sweet. So it's a flexible epoxy that actually expands and contracts with the plate as it goes.
Gotcha. Okay. So the logo's not going to be popping out, essentially.
No. Yeah, we guarantee them all. So I have had about 2 total logos pop out in 10 years.
Wow.
We replaced them immediately on there.
And I feel like at least like for a player coming in, like they always do like the player surveys like at the end of the year for NFL anyway. Like, hey, what's the best team, like meals, what's the best coaches, the atmosphere, and like weight room is always one of the things on there. So it's 100%. Something the players care about.
It's not without a question. We've actually done. I don't want to say that survey was good, but it was good for business for us because we had a lot of teams that called us up saying, "Hey, we were D or F on there."
Yeah.
And out of those 3, we've worked with all 3 of them on
there. It's like, hey, we'll help you out.
There's such a difference in some of these teams. So you walk into some weight rooms and you're like, oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful. And some are like, wow, you wouldn't think that this is what that team represents in there too.
Right.
At the end of the day, the pro guys, they're paying them to be in there so that you don't have to make that killer weight room where the colleges.
Right.
That's where the money was spent in weight rooms. It was
interesting.
It was an arms race in that college facility for sure.
Have you seen that change even more so now with like all the NIL deals and everything? It's like
I think it's going to change for the worse, personally. To be in the NIL,
okay,
before, you used to walk in, if you go into Alabama, you want to see that weight room. You want to see what's going to be offered to me as a player. I think everyone has that to some extent now.
Sure.
Now it's what are you going to pay me?
Yeah, that's now just a standard. Like the weight room's got to be good.
Got to be good.
What's the check?
Got to be good. Yeah.
What are you gonna pay?
And
me?
Even if your weight room's a little bit substandard,
if
we get an extra $1 million.
like,
probably going to take the $1 million.
Like, I'll let the weight room slide a little bit. I'll take $1 million.
It's an interesting time in college athletics. My son wants to play in college. We have another 4 years. So hopefully he's good enough to get there one day.
Yeah.
And if he is, then we'll see where the smoke settles and all this college stuff.
True.
But I don't envy college coaches now.
I'm sure there's going to be, because it's still the Wild West. I'm sure there'll be changes in the next 4 years of what they're doing. Hopefully.
It's changing by the day right now. I talked to a lot of them yesterday, too, and just they're starting to change their recruiting process, and it's
Sure.
Yeah, I don't envy. I just talked to a pro guy who left college because of NIL.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's like, it's just... It was too much. I mean, we have teams that are losing 80% of their rosters via transfer portal and NIL. So
my buddy sent me an infographic on this previous year's in basketball, the Final Four. And it's like, he's like, yeah, you're not going to see a lot of like Cinderella teams coming up in the ranks anymore because like if a player is good, they're going to go find that team that's going to pay them. It's like you're going to start to see some of these like studded teams.
You don't get to hold them to their senior year. They kind of find lightning in a bottle as a freshman.
Yeah.
And they're gone as a sophomore.
Oh, yeah.
Where you used to get to keep them for those 4 years.
Right.
And then you get those couple studs, and in basketball, a couple guys make a big difference.
Yeah.
So, as a fan of college athletics, I don't like where it's at right now. I know the coaching staff is... Everything's changing, so from a player, I don't know if it's a bad thing to be able to be paid.
Sure, they're like, hey,
I wouldn't have minded that part of it.
Right. You get players like Reggie Bush being like, "What the hell? Like, I wish I could have got like the legal way."
100%.
But so there's like a pendulum. We'll hopefully find a happy medium for everybody.
In my personal opinion, I don't work in college athletics, but I know the frustrations out there.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the history, the choosing materials for the bumper plates, the barbells, and and you said that, we didn't talk too much about the bands. How did you figure out the band material? Because you said that's like still one of the products that everyone's like, you guys have great bands.
Yeah, so I mean, the bands are made in a few different spots around the world.
Okay, yeah.
But you have 2 countries that actually produce 100% of the world's population of latex.
Sure. Okay.
So all bands are made out of latex unless you use a non-latex, and then your eccentric load on there is just nothing to it. So
and quick question on that: do you find a lot of people that are still like? Because I know latex, at least in the PT world, like we had our latex bands and our non-latex, and we had some people like, "Hey, I'm a latex allergy." Like, do you still see a lot of that? Or?
Hospitals are just some of them are just latex free. We have to be latex free. Just keep it across the board in there.
Yep.
But from a training standpoint, it's definitely substandard, subpar material in there. So finding a factory that actually owned their rubber forest was number one.
Sure.
So they own the direct to source in there. So the rubber comes from a tree.
Sure.
Kind of like maple sap does, and they collect it and they boil it down. So I had gone to about 15 different factories and looking at different ways people were making them, and so many putting additives in there, which made the life expectancy of the band go super, super short. So
gotcha.
Being 100% latex was number one on my criteria, and we found 2 factories that actually were 100% latex in there.
Sure.
Then it came down to the standard of the factory, the quality of the factory, the workers, how they were treated in the factory too.
Yeah.
So we kind of ran that whole gamut across the board and found one that there's an injection mold, not to bore you too much here, but
this is interesting, yeah.
You can injection mold latex, which literally just feeds it through a tube, and it pushes it out in a mold, and it comes out like a tube.
Huh.
So it's one piece on there, and if you nick that at all with a razor, or even your shoe, it's one piece, it just breaks right through.
Sure.
Where we kind of make ours, if you imagine a candle, just dipping it in a pot, letting that layer cool, dip it in a pot, let that layer cool.
Yeah.
So we actually run, like on all of our bands, it's about 300 to 600 layers of individual rubber in there. So it actually is a machine that goes up, dips it through, brings it back around, lets it cool for 20 feet, brings it back down, dips it again, brings it back up, and it just continuously runs through there to build up the diameter of the tube. And then we coat it in a little bit more of a durable outer shell in there. So if you see any Performator bands on there, you'll notice that if they start wearing towards the end, you can actually see individual layers of rubber on there.
Interesting.
So you don't get that instant break on there.
Right. It starts, which is probably great for safety too. It's like
100% for safety.
Like, hey, this band's starting to wear out. Let's get rid of it or replace it. Versus another band just snaps.
Yeah, when it just goes. Yeah, I mean, bands. You don't. I've been hit by a few bands. This is prior to my Performator days. In high school, we had those overspeed trainers, 60 feet of band coming at your back, and that doesn't feel good at all.
No.
And then something else we had probably 10 years ago is we don't market this, but we actually run an inner band, a safety band inside all of our tubing. So if the band ever does break, there's another band inside of it that it has to follow that course. So it can never come back and whip up at you. So if the band does break, it's going to track that band and not be allowed to come back and hit you in the face.
Wow. Okay. This is like a safety
huge
feature.
Safety, huge safety in there. So obviously we don't want our bands to break, but eventually it's a wear and tear item. It's like it's get the flat tire.
Yep.
So if you don't change it out, eventually it is going to break.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't ever want anyone to get hurt. So there's an inner tube in all of our tubing to actually catch that if someone doesn't replace them soon enough.
Yeah, and even just like at my PT office, I have like the different bands on the shelves. And I do have some aftermarket ones too, and those they just sag down over time.
Yeah.
The Perform better is they stay like I'm like, hey, the band lasts a long time.
And it's really just quality material.
Yeah,
it's the biggest thing on there too, and then how they're made too. So on our mini bands, I'd love to say it to the same dip method. Yeah, we can't dip a loop, unfortunately. So they are just a still made piece. So we just make sure it's a high quality. And we put a little bit of we found an additive to actually make them a little more durable in there too. That's a proprietary thing that we use.
Sure, cool.
We'll extend
the secret formula.
A little bit, definitely is.
Hey, it works.
It definitely is.
It's cool. Your story there reminds me of somewhat recently. I read the book Shoe Dog with a guy who started Nike.
I'm halfway through it. Phil
Oh my God, it's such a good book.
When he's out in Hawaii and traveling around. Yeah, I have not finished it, but I've started reading it.
And he's taking planes to like Japan, and like checking out different factories and trying to get like the right materials and all that stuff. Like it just reminds me of like your story there of how you're like figuring out the proper sources and what to use and the factories and everything.
There is really, I mean, this is 2004. We started going around places and just trying to source products and. You'd see something, it looked pretty cool, and then obviously I'm not a small guy. I start getting on things, and things would just break immediately. And they're like, "What did you do?"
Yeah,
this is how we actually use the product.
Right.
It might look good, but we actually have to use it. So
totally,
we'll take the product there, we'll bring it back here. Our team, will get on the stuff, see if they vet it out through that, see if anyone can pick anything up. And our biggest guy in this whole thing. Thank God Mike Bull we mentioned him as our first speaker.
Yeah.
He's only an hour and 20 minutes away from us. He runs about 600 to 700 kids through his program a day. So I think we figured out that it was about 3,000 throws per ball per day that go through. So we figured if we can last a summer up there with 700 kids, you're going to see the volume of 3 years at any typical gym. So we kind of rapid test our stuff up there.
Oh, wow.
So everything that goes to market, Mike's had his hands on pretty much. And he catches some small things too, even on our 6 Series line. We have all of our racks there, and he's like, wouldn't this be better? I'm like, I just worked on this for a year, and in 2 seconds you just pulled something out that was like, Jesus. It's like the simplest thing in the world.
Sure.
Of course, I should have thought of it, but I didn't. So,
hey, that's great. You have him as like basically a testing facility.
Huge. I mean, we use a lot of our speakers too across the board, whether it be Alan Cosgrove or Todd Durkin. We're always sending product out there.
Cool.
Let these guys get in a real-world experience. Is there something wrong with the design to it? Is it not durable enough? Taking those things to effect too.
That's really cool.
And then can we make it any better before we actually bring it to market?
That's cool. Yeah, so it goes through very rigorous testing at the highest level.
Yeah, we try to use as many places. Depending on what the product or what it's geared for. We'll have a lot of our NFL teams. The Nordic hamstring floor mount was actually an idea from the Dolphins, and they were like, "Hey, can you solve this problem? I have to sit there and kneel on my guy's knees every time they're doing a Nordic hamstring, but I want the Kaiser to assist it or any cable column to assist it."
Sure.
So I was like, drew the thing up. He's like, "That looks perfect." So I set the one down. He's like, "Give me 20 of them."
Yeah, awesome.
So a lot of our product ideas comes from our customers. So
very cool.
I wouldn't say one person might call up, probably not jumping into it, but once we get 3 or 4 calls on something,
like, all right, there's something here.
Yeah, we need to fill a demand. There's a need for somewhere in the market that we need to fill or create a new spot for it too.
Totally. Kind of going along those same lines of like some of these guys will find like little errors or things here. Any mistakes or like lessons learned that you can think of like with products? You're like, all right, we're gonna change that, we're gonna switch that, and that has transitioned to like, hey, this is now a more successful product or whatever.
I'm working on one right now. I mean, Kevin, so our new social director over here, brought up our computers and our ski trainers and bikes just got upgraded. We're going to upgrade them one more time too. So there's always things that we looked at. It was actually a customer up in Massachusetts that is running 10 rowers and 10 ski trainers at the same time.
Yeah.
I train out of the thing 3 times a week, but he was looking at it from a group standpoint, is it would only hold the screen for 3 to 4 seconds, and then it would clear out. So if he's got 10 people on there, by the time all 10 actually did it, that 4 seconds wasn't enough, so the first guys would go back to 0. So like me, I've never had a problem. I would hit start and go.
Right.
But now I have to wait for 10 people. One could be finishing up on their last set of something else. They're behind. Everyone else is already set up. Like, group settings. There's a million of stories like that too.
There's
just
always
little
refining.
stuff that it could be a paint spot that we missed that's just showing a little wear and tear.
Sure.
There. So like our benches when we first came out with them, we have pins on there, and it was rubbing on the paint. So we had to come back and put a stainless steel channel on there so it rubs on stainless steel. That way it'll look brand new in 10 years versus having a wear spot on there.
That makes sense. Oh, that's cool. And then kind of another way that I was first introduced to Perform Better. I don't know how I actually ended up getting the catalog, but I was an exercise science major at UMass Amherst for my undergrad, and I think one day the catalog just started showing up to my doorstep. I'm like, what? I'm like, what did I sign up for to get this? But it was one of the coolest. I mean, that was like the 2009 to 2013 time frame when I was in college there. And I wasn't getting a ton of magazines. I think that was probably the only one I was getting, and I was interested in it. It was so cool to kind of flip through that. And I know that's a piece of like a really great thing that you guys have done and continue to do.
Yeah, we still mail out. We're still one of the few companies that mails out close to 1 million catalogs a year.
Wow.
It's definitely our highlight for a promotional product for us. And it's funny, back in 2001, it was like that. People would open them up, and like literally we'd have customers call us within minutes of receiving that to be like, all right, run me through everything new. And we had some really hardcore clients that would like, everything new, just send it to me right now.
Yeah.
So ripping through that catalog. Obviously, things are changing these days. So, obviously a lot more digital marketing going on these days. But the catalog is still a very big driver of what we do.
It's interesting, too, because like you said, there's less and less paper, like newspapers are not that much of a thing anymore.
No.
But still, like, I mean, sticking to Rhode Island, like I subscribe to the Rhode Island Monthly magazine, and I like that. I'm like, I like having that magazine. I like getting it.
There is something about having a piece in your hands to be able to flip through.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's like, oh, I got a cool piece of mail, and it's got the colorful pictures and everything on there. So there is something to it.
My guess is you probably signed up. Did you become NSCA certified?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, anytime someone gets certified, we'll usually mail them a new catalog coming out of there.
Gotcha. Very cool.
So that, or you can go right to our website, performateur.com, and just click up for a catalog, and we'll get you on our list too.
Love it. All right. So we talked about a little bit of this already, and we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I won't keep you too much longer. But so facility design, I know you said that's kind of been like your guys' bread and butter from the start. So like getting into high schools, getting into collegiate weight rooms, but also, I mean, you guys do outfitting for like the the personal like home gym and stuff like that too. But I guess how did that maybe it was from like the track and field days early on. Like how did that become like the main
our
focus?
Progression. I kind of, when we first started off, we were considered kind of a balls and bands company, I call us.
Sure.
We were an ancillary company. So if you walked into a Gold's Gym, we owned the balls, the bands, the smaller stuff in there.
Sure.
Coming into this myself, it was kind of boring to just sell balls and bands. So we started partnering with some different manufacturers in the U.S. and reselling their racks and their dumbbells and things like that. Yeah. It was literally graph paper we started on. I would design your facility on a piece of graph paper and put it to scale. Yeah. And then, I don't even know, I don't know if we could take a picture. I think I had to mail it to him back then. This is like 2000.
Right.
I'm trying to think. We didn't get our first iPhones, I think, till like 2007.
Probably dial-up internet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So I think we would mail them out to the customer back then. Probably about 2008 is when I started sourcing a lot of product and building our own products. Started building our own dumbbells and racks, and we brought on someone to design in a very, very rudimentary software. I mean, it was definitely 2D. It was very boxy, but we could scale your place and put it together. Yeah. Flow, there really wasn't a considered flow. College strength and conditioning was going through. Private training centers were still more big box gyms at that point, so there wasn't a ton of them around. Sure. Fast forward another 10 years, and we have 2 guys running CAD full time in there. And now the biggest part. It's fun. It's like a challenge. So like you said, with the college, high school, and pro world is the one we lived in because we were all that. Yeah. We've done so many private training facilities, and our bread and butter has always been that 3,000 to 7,000 square foot owner operated place, but also doing big box gyms too is right under our scope. But we were at one point we'll probably do about 7 to 10 of those 5,000 square footers a month. Wow. So we'll come in and what helps with us is we're the one-stop shop. So we'll do your flooring, we'll do your racks, we'll do all of your equipment in there. But also sit there and spend the time with you to find out what your needs are and what's your style of training. Like you said, what's that flow going to be in there? Yeah. We never want to oversell someone. I've seen some layouts that people just load so much equipment in there. I'm like, where are they going to train? So
there's no space to train. There's too much equipment.
We definitely still follow that kind of functional approach of leaving some open space in the gym. We want to get you dynamic warm up in. We want to have your sled pushes and pulls. Yep. Be able to sprint in there, but meet your needs on whether it be cardio and strength in there too. So that's all our sales reps and myself's job is to find out what those needs are, your training styles, and then put them in a CAD. I usually say, let me take one crack at it just after a first interview. It might be 90% right or it might be 10% right, but either way, you'll get 10% of new ideas of something to do on there. Sure. And at the end of the day, we're going to make sure you're 100% happy with that design we come up with.
That's really cool, and it probably helps them from their standpoint. But like, hey, like, you've been in college weight rooms a ton. You've been in like high school. Like you know the sports that a lot of times that they're trying to be like, hey, this is. I'm not just some random guy. Like I can speak the language a little bit. I know the sport. Yeah.
I've never owned my own training center, and I used to always say like, geez, don't take this with too much. Yeah. We've been in so many of them right now that we're usually about 90% there because we've done it so many times, and we can take ideas from. We go back to the 30 conferences a year. Sure. And what we're learning from all these different people. Yeah. We can take all those ideas and blend it into there, coming off of what you guys are looking for too. So, the owner operator ones are the smaller gyms. That's probably where we can help out the most. Sure. High school, college, usually they have an idea of what they're looking for. Yeah. But it all depends. We can usually get some new ideas too, and then we try and put equipment in that does 2 or 3 great uses to it. Used to be back in the day, 10 flat benches, 10 Olympic benches, 10 squat racks. Now. Everything we design tries to have 2 or 3 really, really good uses to it to save space in there too.
More efficiency. I like it.
Everyone's rent is a real thing, right?
Yes.
So if we can limit space in there, certainly make it more profitable. That's for sure.
Yeah. Especially New England, like as far as like a lot of the smaller like mom and pop or like boutique gyms, like hey, our square footage is what it is. Let's see if we can make it work with what we got.
What can we fit in here in a realistic and increase ROI on there?
Yeah. 100%. Maybe in the Midwest or like down south somewhere you can have that like those massive square foot warehouses.
But they're getting less per client in there too. So it always comes down to that square footage.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start to wrap. Just a couple final wrap-up questions for you. I know, just make sure we didn't miss anything. But I mean, the facility design, the product sourcing, the history of the company, and the seminars are huge for what you guys do, which is really cool. And HQ right here in Rhode Island, which
I think
is awesome.
service. If you talk Perform Better, probably the one thing that we didn't talk about is service. So that was going back to Bill's day. That the biggest thing he always said is, I'll never forget. I did our returns for the first year and a half. I had no idea what I wanted to do here, and this guy sent back a starting block that was probably looked like it had been dragged behind his pickup truck for about 17 days, and he was like, "Just replace it for him." I'm like, Coach, this thing's 2 years old and it's destroyed.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't realize that it cost us so much more money to get that client than it does to keep that client.
Sure,
He's
sure.
like, you know what? Just take care of them, and they'll stick with you forever. So my biggest customer was the Navy SEALs.
Sure.
For 10 years, and because they called up and I replaced a med ball that they just lost. He's like, honestly, I just can't find it, but it's going to take me 2 years to get a new one through the government. I'm like, new one's on the way, and that turned into a massive opportunity for us. So, yeah, his biggest thing was treat people right. Sell them product that they need, not product that we want to sell.
Sure.
Tell them that they don't need it if they don't need it, and if they do, make sure you know what you're selling them and give them a good recommendation. So that's been words to live by for Performer and MF Athletic, was always keep the customer first. We're in it for the long game. I'm here 25 years, and I still have my original customers from 25 years ago. So make sure you take care of people has always been the motto around here.
That's really cool. You guys are doing that because that's a huge thing people remember. Yeah. Like when people think of companies like LL Bean, they're like, oh, their customer service is like send them whatever.
Fantastic.
They're fantastic.
Yep.
So
fantastic.
That's really cool.
I actually have a suitcase that they gave me a lifetime warranty on. It's been replaced 5 times so far. And the last time it was on sale, so they gave me a credit. It was my 5th replacement, and they gave me a $100 credit back in the mail. I'm like, I'm shocked that you're still replacing this because we travel a lot. This thing's seen abuse.
Sure.
Now you're going to give me money back? I was like, I don't want it. I feel like I'm stealing. I'm like, don't put the credit on there.
That's fine. Like you've done enough.
More than enough here.
All right, so my next suitcase is going to have to come from LL Bean is what I'm hearing.
It's been awesome.
Oh man. All right, good. I'm glad you mentioned that because we definitely did not talk about that enough. But all right, cool. So as far as wrap ups, any events, anything for you personally or for the company that you're excited about, new events in store for the future?
Events are going to be our own summits for sure. So we'll be in Long Beach, Chicago, and Providence this summer. It's all on our website if everyone wants to check out the information. We're doing group rates. So our local guys right here, come on down to Providence. It's a buy one, get one free this year. We really just want to support getting back in person again. We want to see people, shake hands, meet you. Love to come by your gyms, your facilities. So we want to make sure that we're putting back as much into it. So we're taking not a loss, but we want people to be there in person. Yeah. We want to meet people. We want to encourage that information exchange and growth and networking and making sure as many people meet each other. So our numbers are getting back close to pre-COVID. Nice. We want to shatter them. So we're cutting the numbers. We're cutting the price down a ton. Bring a friend for free.
Cool.
So that's a big one. Come on down to Providence and. That's
is that going to be at the convention center?
Yeah, we're taking over more space too. So people that have been there in the past used to be on both levels. We're taking over the entire first floor too, so it'll be bigger and better.
Wow!
So we're getting ready for that growth this year. So come bring a friend.
That's awesome. Really cool. And is that similar probably to a lot of? Is there some speakers and also some hands-on type stuff there too? Or?
Yeah, so we'll have 4 rooms going at all times. There'll be 2 lectures at all times and 2 hands-on. So
nice.
Most of our speakers will have an hour and 15 minutes to give you kind of the nuts and bolts and the theory behind it, and then they reinforce it with an hour and 15 minutes of practical. So you get 2.5 hours of the same subject by the same speaker on there. It's a great learning way. So we get the classroom style and then the practical style right after it. So it's worked really well for us and. Probably the best. Obviously I'm biased, but I would have to say the best speaking lineup you're going to find in the country.
Who's coming to Providence?
Everyone. That's our heavy hitter one. Yeah, so
nice. All right.
Providence is always we load Providence up.
Cool.
So that'll be your big hitters coming in here.
That's awesome. All right. And we mentioned a bunch of stuff already, but anything that we potentially may have missed as far as anyone to shout out or anything else to plug?
Whew. There'd probably be too many.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah.
Plug-wise, you'll start seeing a lot of new product coming out. So I'm working on a ton of new things right now. Usually we try and launch about 10 new products a year.
Wow.
I would say we're probably going to be upwards of 30 plus for next year. So it's been a busy year and it'll continue to be. So trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Very cool. All right. And this is my final question. So basically, it's like a favorite quote or something to leave the people with. So I stole this from Tim Ferriss, but if you were given a billboard, so let's see, what's the highway that's closest to us here in West Warwick? Would it be 95?
We're 95 Route 4 right here.
Something like that. Okay. So you had a billboard on 95, and for one day, you can put whatever you want on it. Usually maybe the way the question is described is like something to say to your community. Like maybe a favorite quote, favorite mantra, or maybe just come to perform better. You can throw that on there.
I'm not a very big quote guy.
All right, that's
fair. If we could say it, I would say don't be a dick.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
That or don't be soft. I don't know. It'd be something along those lines.
Just put those on two separate ones.
That's it.
I like that. Hey, it's on 95. Those are maybe don't be the dick is more appropriate for 95.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's good. Awesome. Well, hey, we'll wrap up with that. Podcast
awesome.
was
great.
It.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. And Roadie Strength, we're signing off.